blowing, storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't fear. Mike's where the page line is about to begin. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Well, there'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend Mike, he's your man. Then he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm, if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that it's trying to hide. Look on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation. Yeah, here in Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation.
I don't know, man. I don't like this. You want to walk up there or you want to go back? I don't think we can make it.
All right, what is up? Good morning, everybody. I think we're live. Monday mornings are always slow to wake up. The computer, that is. But it looks like we're good to go. How about that? Man, I know everybody is here to talk tropics. We have two things to invest on the board. Can't believe it. Talked about this a lot, though, man. With these waters hot, people said it was all hype. But water temperatures are a big part of tropics. All right, I had somebody message, since we always show Louis with the cup. Somebody messaged me last week. They're like, why don't you ever put the hat back on Louis? So we're going to do it today. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to the Brew Crew. This cup started it all about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we started doing Louis in the morning. I'll take it off to be nice. But that was for whoever asked to put the hat on Louis. He's the sheriff, that's right. All right, so we're going to say our good morning hellos. We do this for a few minutes, so if you don't have any patience, go make a cup of coffee, and we'll be talking topics in 2 and 2. Hope everybody had a great Father's Day. Yes, Harold. We sure wish everybody did. And that is the picture that I picked today. Of course, our Daily Brew brought to you by our good friends at ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. They had this picture yesterday across social. It's not a dad bod. It's a father figure. So I sport my keg very well. See, no more 6-packs. The older you get, it's kegs. So big thanks to ABC. Hope everybody got to have a nice weekend, Father's Day. Chilling, relaxing. I know it's storming in the upper Gulf Coast again. A lot of storms across Florida again. It's been the most wackiest weather I think I've ever seen in June. I mean, it is relentless. I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. But anyway, hope you had a great day. I sure did with my girls. They wrote me a little hand card. Sarah did. Look. It was cute. Well, Emily did one too. You know, Emily wrote me a little card. I always save them. I hide them behind my picture. I tell you about my little picture. But Sarah had a nice one. She, so cute. So they are tucked away in my little time capsule box. Put away for future usage. All right. All right, so let's talk weather real quick. Shelly, of course, our admin there helping us out. We love Shelly. Emily did give me this, so I have to share it. I was very shocked that she bought me anything original, but so that was pretty cool. Got a little teary-eyed. If you have teenagers, you know they don't often do things like that. All right, so let's put on the old tropics map here real quick. We'll say a few more hellos. This is what everybody wants to see. There's nothing to worry about unless you're in the Caribbean. We have a lot of folks watching in the Caribbean. It does appear that it's going to be nearing on your doorsteps here Thursday, whatever it becomes. There's going to be some big winds regardless to the north side. We do have NHC upping the chances that it's 100% that the red guy could possibly become Brett. I keep wanting to call it Bert. It's Brett. So we might get a tropical depression, tropical storm, maybe by 11. They usually do things around 11, 5 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So maybe by 11, we'll have advisories on this storm. Now, the area behind it popped up. We teased this now a couple days. It's now 40% chances of development. And people ask me, what does development mean? Development just means tropical depression, tropical storm, subtropical depression. I mean, it doesn't mean hurricane. Just because you see the development doesn't mean, oh my goodness, it's going to be a hurricane. It just means there could be an organized tropical low, which could be a depression, storm, hurricane. So watch for that. That means that we'll have all new graphics. We'll have our cone of uncertainty. So all you cone heads, MWP cone heads, we'll be having a cone here soon enough. So, yeah, Chris, I think 100% pretty much means for sure. We're going to have it. And what's up with the Rays losing by 1 run again? Man, that was awful. All right, I'm going to go all in the tropics now. I do have a couple graphics up real quick. The weather story today, more than anything, I want a couple minutes on this from all tropics. Heat index today, huge Texas across Louisiana. A lot of our followers are in Texas and Louisiana, so we're thinking of you in this red area. Look at these heat indexes for today. We're talking 110 degrees all the way to Oklahoma, 110 across Louisiana. So it is going to be miserably hot across Texas and Louisiana today. That's one big story brewing. The other big story today, unfortunately, is this. This is Storm Prediction Center for today, Monday. More storms expected. Relentless. But the reason I wanted to point this out is we got a 5% brown area across Mobile, lower Mississippi, and Alabama, and the tip of Florida. So more tornadoes possible today across the upper Gulf. Pensacola been getting hit hard. So this is today. Just wanted to point that out. So big storms are still coming today up there for the upper Gulf. All right, here's the latest spaghetti tracks. Let's see. This is our tradition. They always do this. So Levi had a great video yesterday. Everybody loves Levi's video discussions. Mine's kind of like the armchair quarterback, drinking a few beers, eating popcorn. He's the actual scientist. He's very well respected, well known, and we love him. So I always try to share his stuff, especially on Twitter. It retweets a lot easier. But anyway, tropicaltidbits.com is what we go to a lot here. We're going to open everything up with a brand new 12Z spaghetti models. So these spaghetti models come out every 6 hours. These 12Z runs get posted around 9 o'clock Eastern. Tradition for our little show here is that they become updated during the start of the show. I had it at 6Z, and I hit refresh, and there's our 12Z. All right, so the GFS failed again. It was predicting a storm that was going to move north of the islands. It was the outlier. It's done terrible last year. It's doing terrible this year. The GFS is now in line a little bit with the others. So it looks like whatever happens with Invest 92, it's definitely going to head right smack dab through the Caribbean there, the Lesser Antilles, Barbados, Virgin Islands. Everybody watching in the islands. We have a lot of people in the islands that watch, so they're watching this close. Timing's going to put it close to y'all Thursday, so this is only a few days from now. Big question, of course, after where does it go? I'm going to get into all that here in a little bit. But these are your latest models. The AVNI is based a little bit off the GFS, and it kind of skews some of the runs, but general consensus now is definitely something to watch in the Caribbean. So these are your latest. Satellite imagery, let's look at that real quick on Weather Nerds, and then we'll get into all the individual runs. Because what's also brewing, which I'm going to have to update the website, is we have a new area of interest. We have AL93 now, which is behind the first one. And really, there's been moments that the second ones look better than the first one. And then I don't want to bring it up, but Africa, oh man, Matt's the owner of the site, and his site's been really overloaded. That's a bummer for him. So we'll have to come back to Weather Nerds. It's been doing that. Didn't do that last season. There must be a lot more people going to it. But we can look at some GOES satellite here. Here, kind of a long-range picture. You can see it. So it's amazing that we have a secondary wave behind the first wave. And then we have another burst of convection over Africa that's coming over the water now. So just unheard of, really, to see this early in the season in the main development region. That's what everybody's talking about. Is no one's ever seen this much activity in the Atlantic in June. So there's your second guy following the first guy. 92's first, 93's second, and maybe even something popping in off of Africa. We'll have to worry about that down the road. But Africa long-range maps were showing an above-average monsoonal season for Africa with rains. So, these storms come off of Africa and get going. So we'll have to monitor way over there and see what it does. All right, so everybody's obviously watching a lot. Most of my followers are in the continental United States. So a lot of misconception is when I talk about a system like this, I get the classic, why are you talking about it? It's not going to hit me. Well, there's a lot more than just me's out there. Everybody, we got people in Jamaica, we got people in the Caymans, we got people in Hispaniola, Dominican Republic, we have people in lots of followers in Puerto Rico. So, all right, so let's take a look at the latest euro as it gets close. This is on tropicaltidbits.com. You can see it's keeping it kind of weak. Latest pressures just came out at 1,009. Let's see where it initialized at earlier today. So that's kind of what we do here is watch it in real time. So it initialized good, 1,009. Okay. So the euro has been off and on in intensity. But the bottom line is it's going to be nearing the islands. This is Thursday morning. So whatever it becomes, Thursday morning. And that's been the consistency now for days. Jana from Virgin Islands. Good morning, Katie. Boy, you guys have been getting rocked. Puerto Rico watching. Hey, John, how's it going, buddy? Happy Father's Day, Ron. Thank you, buddy. Morning, Rachel. How's it going? Looks like I'm caught up. Greg Cayman. So we got a lot of y'all. I appreciate that. When I first started this, I was only focused on Florida, and then I realized I had people in Texas and the Carolinas watching. Then I started realizing, oh my God, the Caribbean's watching. And I've actually learned more geography with Mike's weather page. USF was here last week doing that article, and I was like, I've had to learn. I've learned so much because we have people in Barbados, we have people in the Turks, we have people in Trinidad. I mean, it's incredible. All right, so here's this. All right, now the one thing to note that's been very consistent are winds on the top side. There's a lot of wind shear to the north right now, and that's going to really intensify these winds on the north side of the system. So we can definitely see some strong winds sneak in. It looks like more on the top side. if this thing stays weak. And let's see, maybe this one right here. This kind of just shows you. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more there to the Caribbean, tropical Atlantic. This might be better. Well, anyway. So here's Thursday. You can just see these winds more on the top side. A lot of winds coming in on the north, but this is Thursday. Here's our second wave behind. Good support that one could become organized too. You know, long time ago, we used to talk about the main development region, how the first storm of the season would clear the path for the second storm of the season. And, you know, we'll see what the second system does. This one just kind of popped on the radar the last couple of days. But this is the 60 overnight Euro. So we're seeing a trend with the mini models is a fizzling out a little bit in the Caribbean. So this is kind of where we're going to watch what happens to our system. You know, at this time, there's very little support that this thing could ultimately hit, let's say, continental U.S. I mean, there's some ensembles. Yes, we're going to show you all ensembles. But if you had to say the trend has not been any sort of strengthening in the Caribbean, the trend continues to be a weakening in the Caribbean. And historically, they call this the graveyard, but there's a lot of wind shear. And we're going to see a lot of wind shear coming in from the north as this thing approaches this week. There's a high pressure to the north. This high pressure is blocking any sort of turn out to sea if you're in the islands and wondering. The GFS originally developed this faster, meaning it's stronger, it's slower, and it allowed this high pressure to slide on by, enabling a turn. But now it doesn't look like it's doing that. But as far as your individual models go, I mean, you know, the Euro does really good with upper level winds, and you know it's showing a slow fizzle as it gets in the Caribbean. So that is one trend that's definitely there. Your Canadian model timing Thursday morning. Now this is pressures. Lower pressures are blues, higher pressures are yellows or oranges and reds. But Canadian, you know, and here comes the other one. So, you know, I mean, the Canadian model kind of, you know, weakens it. And then, you know, it actually tries to get it going. This is the 27th, you know, and that's definitely, you know, something to watch. That's why, you know, I'm very careful in words that I choose. Like, wind shear, yes. You don't want to say it's 100% going to fizzle because these waters are so warm. Like, very warm. And listening to the top people in the industry, you know, the question mark is how much does those warmer waters actually override shear dust? So, you know, the fact that we, you know, almost no models picked up on this strengthening to a named system just a few days ago, and now we're talking about a storm that's probably going to be named any minute. So what we're going to be doing, obviously, is, you know, and I mention this a lot, you know, obviously you look at upper level winds and steering, and the consistency is that this thing is going to slide into the Caribbean and, you know, have a rough road ahead as far as conditions go. But, you know, with an approaching front or anything that survives, eventually with likelihood would get pulled up. So I don't ever say never in the tropics. So there you go. There's a Canadian, and then our trusty, and then that's actually the third wave. I tell you, it's crazy. The Canadian, this one is not the Invest 93. It's a third wave that the Canadian's picking up on, the one that's coming off Africa now. Here's a Canadian model here. Basically, you have 92, 93, and then that new one popping off. This is, you know, what it's showing, if you're wondering what that third one is. So, And the Euro, I don't think showed there. It's showing it a little bit. So almost the same as the Canadian. It's very hard to see, but here's 92, 93, and then a new one right here. And a lot of the trending on number 2 is this high slides out, opens up the door, allows number 2 to maybe go north, but then number 3 is going to have a blocking high if it indeed becomes anything. So that's kind of the trend there. All right, and let's look at the icon model. So bottom line again, listen, if you're in the continental U.S. and you're worried, there's nothing indicating to be worried. I'm more worried about those swarms in the upper Gulf right now, those things. And then the icon here showing Thursday, kind of a weak system. Remember, the icon does really good about sniffing out systems. And it's showing a weakening too, as this thing gets in the Caribbean. So the bottom line there, and then of course the GFS, let's show you that real quick. You can see that it's trended a little bit more to the islands, but we don't really watch the GFS. It's terrible. Yesterday it was showing a hurricane in South Florida again. So I'm not even going to show the GFS. So another good tool here, since it's, the other plot that I use is paid. This one's free. It's Levi. So you go to EPS Ensemble, and I like to go to the lower Ensemble member plots. And this kind of gives you a general feeling of where the majority of the ensembles are going. And almost every single ensemble now is showing 92 through the islands. So that's almost a guarantee that 92 is going to keep on going west. And what it does after, you can see that these things just start to fizzle out. Even the blend of pressures basically are kind of showing. So, if you're watching worried about the future, there's not a lot of signs at this point that this thing is going to be a big impact. But the water temperatures, you always got to watch these water temperatures. So that's why you keep an eye on the tropics, right? Right. So there you go. We can have a lot of heavy rain across the Caribbean for sure. This thing takes a track. Let's go to some more sites. So I ran across another site. So we got all three of those. Let's take a look at the hurricane model. So the H-Wharf is being replaced with the HAFS A, and we got the H-MOM being replaced with the HFS B. And Levi has these on there. But, the only thing that's concerning to me is the H-Wharf. It's kind of the worst case scenario model as far as intensity goes. But, man, the H-Wharf is wrong, right more than is wrong. So we have to watch it close. It's predicted a pretty strong hurricane. This would be Friday morning. But, it's definitely the outlier. But I got to show it, especially if you're in the islands. There are models indicating that this could be strong. And the H-Wharf, like I said, it's usually a pretty good little model. So we're going to, I don't know. It's been wrong before. The H-Wharf. H-MON showing a weaker system. So that's the good news. These new models, which are going to become operational soon, a little more realistic, 988, that's definitely hurricane range. That has a little bend to it, almost like the GFS does. The FA, I had to do my homework on these little guys, and then the B is a little stronger, 984. So, it definitely has a chance to be a hurricane. A lot of moisture. The dry air definitely is there. Let's take a look at this animated precipitable water map. Kind of shows you the moisture in the air, and you can definitely see the spinach from both our systems. So it's pulling in moisture from all south and north. The actual water loop imagery that we can see here with let's just go here. Mid-levels water vapor, and it might have a chance to pull some of this dry air down around it, but blues indicate moisture in the atmosphere, yellows dry air. So there's not a ton of dry air to inhibit it short term. Now, if we do get some wind shear down the road through the Caribbean that comes in, we'll see where all this mess ends up being if some of this dry air here, makes its way down. But as of now, there's not a lot of dry air. And let's look at the dust. So dust is early season always a factor. Now you can see it a little bit here. No, that's the sunshine. Well, there is some dust out there actually. It's interesting. All right, so let's look at the dust. Dust is actually comes off of Africa. This is a map that combines dust and dry air both. So there is a little dry air, a little bit, Another way to look at it here is the long range look here. Let's take a look at the dust. And then we'll look at another thing called the MJO. The MJO is definitely kind of in a neutral, maybe even enhanced stage a little bit. So there's a little dust out there. It's going to ride it a little bit. So that's one inhibitor, which is good news, right? This is the 21st. So could see some dust help weaken the system a little bit. Same goes with our second system behind it. Big old plume coming off Africa after this one. So we'll have a little dust. So, it doesn't have the most ideal conditions to really get going. Like I said, the upper level winds right now currently, we can look at 850. And you can see some of these winds rolling across the Atlantic here, helping it a little bit. But this is what it looks like on the 850 level. Not quite 100% closed yet, but it's trying. There's our second system behind it. 500 millibar looks sloppy, but you can see where it's trying to get organized. So those are your lower level winds. Like I said, long range wind shear forecast. The only thing that's got me questioning it, and I didn't want to post it. I figured I'd just do it here, but wind shear definitely helps tear apart systems. And this is kind of what we're going to be looking at Saturday. Let's look at Saturday. Here's Saturday. Let's see if we can zoom in a little closer to the Caribbean. I don't think this let me because it always says not available. There's the Gulf, tropical Atlantic. I think we have to keep it on tropical Atlantic. All right, so on Saturday, here's your Saturday wind shear. Now greens are about 20 to 30 knots. Pretty moderate wind shear. Coming in from the northwest. Our system by Saturday should be somewhere here. So you can see this tight gradient here of wind shear. And typically wind shear during early season in this area rips apart hurricanes. So wind shear maps are not perfect if this thing was to develop more. So, where it's at now, we kind of have a couple pockets of light wind shear expected. Here's, kind of while this thing rides towards Wednesday, it's going to have a little bit of upper level wind support as this thing tries to get going. So wind shear is always a big question mark, what it's going to actually encounter and whatnot. But the wind shear is expected to be strong out of the northwest on Friday. So we'll see. Water temps are hot. That's kind of what's making this happen. This is the map that I wanted to share online, but I decided not to. Anomaly map. So your wind shear anomaly map for Friday. Over history, this is your 20-year average of wind shear this time of year. As we get into Friday, you can see the backside of the islands that even though we're going to have wind shear, historically, and look out in front where the other system's going to be, historically levels, 0 is your mean, which is white, and blues and greens indicate less wind shear than normal this past 20 years. So this is the only question mark I have is what the system really is going to encounter long range wind shear. So like I said, it's a little below average. Here's Saturday, going into Saturday. Here's Saturday, Saturday morning. So that one graphic right there has got me curious on Invest 92 in front and Invest 93 behind. With these water temps, will they defy models and stay intensified in the Caribbean? This is a big question mark I have. Just looking at the wind shear. So I know I keep yakking about water temps. Let's show you that. Then we'll look at some ensembles here. But water temperatures, everybody's talking about it. It's definitely interesting, just based on what we normally are at. Actually, let's look at anomalies first, and then we'll look at temperatures. I really like these anomaly maps because, when you start comparing prior years and stuff, but prior years might have had cooler waters, these anomalies I don't think have ever happened like this early. So this whole main development region, is running 3 to 4 degrees above normal right here where our system's at right now. There's a couple places 5 degrees above normal. And all through the Caribbean, it's 2 degrees, 3 degrees. This is your weekly change. But, 3 degrees makes a huge difference. So, this is your, over time, this is your 30-year average here. But this is why everybody's really scratching their heads. This is why we're seeing 2 systems in June that don't normally ever happen. It might be record breaking. I don't know if we've ever had a named system that far east in June. We'll have to see. But that's why this is talking about. And here's sea surface temperatures. So the water temperatures are already 84, 85 around the islands. The main development region is 82, 83, 84. I mean, that's unheard of to see 80s in the main development region this time of year. So all that's going to do is, and a lot of the long-range precipitation maps have been showing, and look at the Gulf Stream. I mean, it's, 85, 86 down here, 87, 86. I didn't see 87. Thought I saw an 87. But let's go back to tropical tidbits. So, a lot of long-range forecasters use some climate monthly anomaly maps. And here's your latest anomaly map for the month of July. And green is above normal moisture than normal. Again, it's all in history, but they use this for long-range tropics forecasting. And look at that moisture that's expected to be above normal for the month of July. I haven't looked at this in a while, but those are some pretty large area. I mean, we're talking the whole main development region through the Caribbean all the way to Florida, Southwest Atlantic. So, and into the Gulf some. So above average precipitation expected in July. And what that means is any of these tropical waves are going to have moisture in place to help get going. August, we're starting to see the effects of El Nino possibly with some drier conditions due to wind shear down here. But, I've talked a million times about systems that find a way around. And so here's August moisture levels. September, typical of El Nino, drier conditions across the main Caribbean. Moisture finding its way around. So there you go. These maps aren't 100%, but they are indicators that, there's going to be moisture out there to work with. And here's other models. Here's August on Ken Sips model. And again, this is August, way above average moisture, lower in the Caribbean. Just a little tidbit. I don't know. But that's, one factor that you look at. And then, of course, October. We don't want to see moisture in October down here. This is generally what pulls up from the Caribbean in October. So a lot of big unknowns. So you probably, Jennifer, let's say hi for a while. Jennifer, what's up? A lot of breaking weather. Matthew over there on YouTube. Wind shear, great question. Wind shear, let's whip out the old toy since we haven't done it all season. So this is your atmosphere. This is your atmosphere on drone. No, this is your atmosphere. Your jet stream. You got surface winds, 1,000 millibar, 850, 500 jet stream. Perfect. Fisher Price made it. So in order for a storm to grow upwards and increase strength, winds, structure, there needs to be light upper level winds. Otherwise, it blows all this convection away from the center, and sometimes it disrupts a hurricane or storm. You hear us say naked swirl. Sometimes all the upper level winds get blown away from center. So when you have light upper level winds, the storm's able to stack vertically, enabling a stronger system. When you have wind shear coming across it on the upper levels, it basically blows your cloud tops all to one direction, and your storm structure gets disrupted. So there's a point, that wind shear, and also wind shear, strong level, I showed the water vapor loop. Strong wind shear is another means of bringing that dry air into a system. And when you have a system that brings in dry air also reduces a storm strength. So when you have a system wrapped with a lot of dry air, wind shear usually is because of wind shear. It's there because of that, but that dry air gets blown into a system and basically disrupts it. So when you have a moist atmosphere with little wind shear, that's usually what happens, and that's all. It's really it. I mean, Nikki, hey, thanks for the stars over there. Good morning there, Yar. Steven, thank you, buddy. So again, I'm careful about this long, and the problem with spaghetti models this year so far that we saw with Ian, because the GFS was wrong a couple days ago so bad, a lot of the models are based off of the GFS, and you saw a big spaghetti, many members out to sea, and I think models are just confused now because this is not, they're taking a lot of history, so we're kind of watching these things in real time. This kind of stuff, I'm starting to believe more and more is just the fact that we're going to see more fuel, and you're seeing the effects of El Nino, at least down the Caribbean. And then, like I said, number one thing to influence storms is hot water. We got things called the MJO. People are asking. This is your velocity potential part, but usually green is more favorable for storm development. Kind of in a little bit of an enhanced phase of the MJO here. So upper level winds. This map helps show growth potential on storms, and so when you see a lot of the yellows and oranges, that brings in a lot of suppressed air, squashes thunderstorms, kind of like that whack-a-mole game. Consider orange and yellow like whack-a-mole, and the storm's getting hit. Boom, boom, boom. Dry air comes down. Green means a little more ability for storms to grow, and that's stuff you look at early season. So, not a strong signature, but it's enough that actually, you know what, MJO? I think I have Michael Ventress page up. Look at this. Yeah, look at that. Kind of showing you that neutral, where we're at. So not really too negative right now. Another thing, so I shared something earlier. Let's look at shear tendency right now. This is such a hard map to see on our screen, I know, but basically our storms are out here. You kind of got to match up your degree lines, 10 degrees, kind of get an idea where your storm's at. Here's 10 degrees down here, so you kind of look at latitude and longitude. Once we have a named system, I think they put the storm on here, so it's easier to see. But not the best conditions out there for wind shear. This is kind of the same levels that are expected here in a few days. So we'll see what it can do now. But I did share one earlier. Here's your, good spin on the 850 velocity. 500 is probably not that great yet. Not really getting stacked. Oh, there's a little bit actually now. So when you get to 850, 500 stacking a little bit on these colors, that shows good structure. That's 500 millibar level. But this morning I shared this little guy, Berg weather. It's a really cool link. So you click on Berg weather. This is Tomer Berg. I assume is how I pronounce it. I hope I didn't butcher it too bad. And you select Invest 92L, and you got a bunch of cool stuff here too. But what I like about it is you have the super ensemble tracks right here. And what this does is it enables you to get a mean average of the ensembles. And ensembles are everything. Ensembles are everything. That's all you need to know. And when you have a majority of ensembles, you have high confidence of steering conditions, et cetera, et cetera. But so if you're wondering where that link came from, there it is. So there's your generalization of all the track density. Now you do your means here. This is all your individual runs, and you can see the red is the European. This is timestamp for the 25th, which is what? Sunday. Well, actually Saturday night. 12Z. That's Sunday morning. But you can see the Euro is farther out than Canadian, and the GFS is trending now along with them. So this is just an important model to pretty much show confidence, what each model's showing, the average mean. And there's a lot of ways you can look at it here, man. It's really cool. You can look at, just circles in where the plots are. Like if you want all of the trends, like so here's your trend plots, right? Which is really neat. I don't know how many. Well, it's got a few of them on there, but it kind of tells you like the dark blue is the most recent, and then the light blue was a couple of days ago. So you can kind of, I like this model because it's showing you that the circle's getting tighter, confidence getting greater. So you can see where dark blue was, and this takes a mean of like, supposed to take Euro, GFS, Canadian, and the UK, but I haven't seen UK run yet because I don't think the UK is picking up on this quite yet. But I like it because it's showing you the tighter blue circle versus 2 days ago where it was really wide. So your confidence is increasing a little bit. All right, so let's put it back on there. Here's the intensity plot models. These are on tropicaltidbits.com too. Here's our look at it. Look at that. That's pretty impressive. You can see some outflow. You can see, the winds coming in south. You can see convection sticking around. Yesterday, it didn't have near this much convection yesterday at this time. It was very inconsistent with it holding together. So this is current look. Pretty darn impressive. 93 is out. I don't know if, there's 93. So 93 is starting to take shape. You'll see this. This is kind of where 92 looked about a day and a half ago. It'll take a while for these winds to get tightened up. But again, there's a lot of moisture out there in the Atlantic. You go to the precipitable water map again, kind of shows you there's a lot of moisture across that main development region. And we saw these waves early this year, so we kind of had a hint that this was going to probably happen. The more these waves start coming off, the more moisture that we're gonna see down there. But as far as looking at guidance, that was 93. So 92. These are intensity models. I'm not a big fan of them, just my personal experience with them. But And this doesn't have anything to do with whose site they're on. These are all what the models show. These aren't put together by a person. These are all the models. But a lot of them are showing Cat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. H-Wharf, of course, the outlier. We have a few in the Cat 3 range. But the reason this one's tricky is this. If you look at the timestamps, obviously Friday would be what, 72 hours? Let's see, tomorrow would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 96. So you can see, a steady strengthening as this nears the islands. Good chance it could be a hurricane. But there's equal that could say it might only be a storm. But what's tricky is some of these models down the road are starting to show intensity again, which, keeps the guarantee that this thing doesn't fizzle. That's why I don't know if I like this particular run or not. Because when you have individual models and ensembles showing a weakening in the Caribbean, but then you look at the intensity models and you're starting to see, half of them basically are saying, no, this thing's going to re-intensify. That's why I think you just got to watch this in real time. That water temperature might be tricky, but this right here is enough to say there's no guarantees that this thing is going to fizzle in the Caribbean, just because of this time, time stamps down here. So we'll keep an eye on it. Individual runs aren't really showing that. Wind shear is going to be there, definitely. Wind shear in this time frame, yes, but we'll see after that. You look at the Euro 51 members here, and we can see pretty much, 15 days from now, it almost dissipates it totally. So Euro is totally expecting this thing to pretty much weaken once it reaches the Caribbean, or at least the middle parts in Western Caribbean. So so Euro is expecting it to fizzle. So that's, to me, with that wind shear. But never say never, right? Never say never. Those hot waters, long range shear does not look like it's that bad. So I keep my eye on it. I'm going to keep my eye on it. I always keep my eye on it. All right, there's that. What else can we talk about? I don't know. SpaghettiOs. I mean, we could look at some. The UK is not showing much. Another cool map here on the site. This little guy right here, 5 day, right here underneath the US. So we got probability maps, kind of giving you percentages on chances. E is Euro, G is EGN. Well, that's obviously GFS. I don't know, where the hell is G at? Oh, GFS. So Euro, GFS, and Navy. And then, the second storm's being hit. So anyway, it's just a tool. The three models combined are showing you 90%. Some of them have tracks on here. You can look at tracks from each of them, hit 5 day. And you can kind of see, the Euro, basically the Euro track, what it thinks. Obviously the GFS, we've been showing this one curving, but definitely the outlier. Here's the Navy for. I mean, Navy's terrible, but it's showing that. Oh. And then, let's see, I think we have anything else? No. These are prior guidance, but Navy's showing it too. I do have a link to the Navy model if anybody wants it. It's up top. I think it's number 4. And for some reason, it always comes up. Oh, they fixed it. Last year, it was still giving you a warning on that it wasn't secure. But I don't even know where the heck to go. There's tropics. I haven't been here all year, so I don't use it. But anyway, it's a Navy page. They changed it a little bit. I don't know. I'll look at it another day. Okay, hey Jared, watching in the West Caribbean. Yep, I would be too. Kelvin wants to know latest NOAA imagery, a little bit of an eye. What's up, Bobby? You're probably talking about that little guy right there. You could say maybe. Little guy right there, possibly. Look at visible. Visible. A little early for that. Might be a little more dry air getting in it, but it does. You're right. I mean, it does. Right there. You're right. I mean, it does look like it has a little eye in it. I don't think it's tight enough yet. I think it's still a little oblong. Oblong. Here's your 850 winds, so it's it's not, doesn't have the perfect structure yet. There's a lot of wind shear winds, upper level winds coming in on the top side. But looks cool. So what's after the B name? So we have Brett, Cindy. We have any Cindys? Not cruising girl Cindy from Sharkies. So we've already had Arlene. Technically, we already had a system in January that didn't name, but they classified AL01. So we technically are on AL3 right now, even though it's going to be Brett. Let's just put a big wide shot on here, and I'm going to talk to everybody. Let's go. Darn it. Man, I'm feeling bad for Matt. Site's been a little overloaded. I'll just put on this little guy right here. All right. Oh, my God. Then the questions come in. How do I feel about flying to Orlando to North Carolina? Well, this isn't going to bother you. Western Caribbean, Michelle. If it made the Western Caribbean, it would be... golly, it'd probably be another... It'd be middle part next week. Who wants to chase, Shelly? Sinbad Captain Services. Yeah, it's bad for y'all. I mean, the upper Gulf. Look at this blob. I talked a lot this start here that we got persistent storms again across the upper Gulf. And tomorrow, look at this. More of the same tomorrow. Here's tomorrow's outlook. So tomorrow... This is Monday, but we're going to go to Tuesday here in a second. This is Monday, but here's Tuesday. You can see almost, more. I mean, it's just, I keep saying relentless, but it's been, how long has it been raining up there? Ever since I left the Gulf Coast Jam. Literally, I think it's been storming every day since. Unbelievable. Here's tomorrow's storm outlook. Upper Gulf, though, I kind of like to look at like maybe the Windy app. Kind of gives you more of a Gulf picture. Winds aren't too bad tomorrow. I don't think it's really impacting the Gulf much. I mean, there's Wednesday, a couple bands coming in again. Well, we might have a wind shift change. Check this out. Look at that pattern change. So tomorrow we do have a little bit of, we got low pressure to the north, but look, we got a little pattern change where the wind, everything's going to be building off from the northeast Tuesday and Wednesday. So your flow around this low looks like we're going to have a little bit of a change in direction. That's interesting. Look at that. We can see some strong stuff on Wednesday here across Florida Panhandle. And I bet you they got that marked. Let's look at Wednesday. No, they don't have it marked yet. They will though. So yeah, Wednesday storms. A little bit of a wind change. Look at. Oh, by the way, I changed the upper part of the site here. I added the icon. Every year I say I'm going to do it. I don't think I did it last year, but there you go. These are direct links to Tropical Tidbits, so you can run your models every time you want. Icon, CMC, Euro, and GFS. And then the HRR is your rapid refresh model. But let's look at the rain real quick. Just kind of get an idea of that change of pattern here we got going on. So here's today. That low hangs out a little bit. And yeah, you can see it. See that low pressure that's just hanging out. So here's tomorrow. So there's a low. There's storms tomorrow, Captain. So we got a low coming across, and it's going to whip up some storms, it looks like, to watch across the upper Gulf. Interesting, right? Look at that. Don't usually get a low pressure like that sticking up there for that long. Let's go to our little surface chart map here. Yeah, you can see it. Here's tomorrow. There's our low, and that's just going to help us accelerate the winds a little bit more. So a little bit of a wind change coming for storms. So if you've been missing out on the west coast Florida, you're probably going to get them at least Wednesday. All right, well, that's about it. Oh, Kevin said they just talked about a tropical depression. I figured at 11 o'clock they would probably do it. So I bet you by... Oh, I'm on a Tom and Dan show today, by the way, Shelly. 11:30, I got to call them. Reefs have big bottle openers. Now we're talking flip-flops. I love it. All right, so a little bit about Mike's Twitter page, obviously. Just a social mediaologist, not official. You can find everything everywhere. You're not stuck on one platform. I post on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I even do TikToks now. I have my posts on the page right here. These are my Twitter posts, which are the exact same as Facebook posts. And they're all right here. So all you got to do is scroll and see everything I've posted. If you're worried about things, they're all right there. My app has the same button, Mike's Post. So you know, there's multiple ways to get information. You don't have to be Who are you talking about, Shelly? I just saw your text. But if you have the app, what's cool about it, on the very top, Invest 92, you click on it, and all the buttons are right there if you need direct access to all of them. And now they'll be updated with NHC stuff. And also on the page, it says Mike's Post. You hit the third button down, and you can see everything pop up here from the day eventually. There they are. And you can scroll and see all the posts. So you don't get lost on seeing a post from 3 days ago pop up and you don't know if it's today or yesterday or last week. And of course, you can always watch the Daily Brew on there too. And if you click on the Daily Brew, there it is. And I'm streaming live now. So multiple ways to find us. Tom and Dan. Yeah, I'll be on Tom and Dan. I don't know when they'll have me on, but we record it today. So I think you can watch it on Twitch. Bill in Lauderdale, man, how you been, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Joe, not sure about that shift in the Bermuda high. upper levels, we got these fronts and these low pressures. That low pressure that's coming across right now is what originally the GFS. So originally, this low that we're seeing the next couple days is going to bring some weather changes. Originally, this was going to end up sliding over and allowing our system to turn toward it. Now it appears it's not. It's going to be a little slower. There's that high pressure building in and allowing our system to pretty much have no escape. So we have a high pressure building in here that's kind of blocking this low, and our system will be somewhere around here, possibly. We don't have a track yet. The NHC will have a new track at 11 o'clock. So cool thing about the NHC cone, man, when that cone comes out, they're pretty confident on that 5-day track, and that we'll see exactly where they think this thing's going to be and who might get it. But as far as long range goes with that high pressure, might be a little weakness coming next week. So the trends on the second wave is a little more north component. This would be 93 next week. And that's because, and we see this so many times, like when you have systems back to back, like usually the first system is feeling the high pressure, but the second system, that high pressure is going to change. And the second system is actually riding the backside of this high pressure system that blocked 92. So 92, blocked, but as this high slides this way, 93 rides around the backside. And remember, the counterclockwise flow of high pressure systems accelerate our systems and help. They ride the high pressure systems. So it's fascinating, but it looks like at this time next week the high pressure is a little weaker. Anything behind might try to pull a little more to the north, but then that usually allows time for the next high to set up, and anything coming behind might ride a little bit more west. Makes sense to me. Big question in my book is strength towards the islands, and how long will it maintain that strength is the big question. How much will that shear really affect this in the Caribbean into the weekend, early next week? So that'll be the big question mark. Canadian's not a very good model, but the Canadian is showing that scenario, this yellow line right here, of staying weak and then maybe little redevelopment. So we're not a good model, but it's a scenario that definitely. And then I guess the second biggest question is this: these intensity models, and the uptrend here a little bit is very questionable if this thing's going to be able to get stronger into the Caribbean. So I hate to say it, but there's a lot to watch. Early season action. Man, look at our poor friends up north, man. Look at this. Unbelievable, man. It's just crazy. Crazy weather up there. Can you believe that? This is live radar. I mean, it's like, I've never seen nothing like it. And I think they're expecting another round today. So there might be another round. There is another round today. So Pensacola, guys can't catch a break up there. And I don't mean just Pensacola. I'm talking about that area. But look at that. More tonight. So there's definitely expected to be storms later this afternoon again. And then tomorrow, holy moly, look at tomorrow. Jeez. HRR is picking up a line overnight. This is 5 in the morning Tuesday. Could be some sneak. And you can follow the low. This is so fascinating. Look, you can almost see it right here. You can see the little spinning over Tennessee. That's not the jack. You're not spinning because of the jack. You're spinning because of the low. But look, incredible, man. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. We got some sneaky storms tomorrow morning. Water spouts here for me. This could be all the way to Carolinas. Look at this. So this low overnight tonight, look at this low. We could have a line of storms here around this low. This is overnight, almost midnight. Look, 2, 3 in the morning setting up through the Carolinas. Reaching Outer Banks, maybe Carolinas in the early afternoon. That's something else, so we'll watch that pattern. Whew. All right, well, looks like we got TD3. So we'll do it. We'll have to update everything here as the storms come out. But I'll be really curious what the cone looks like. So, all right, cool. Yep. Thanks, Shelly. Talking about our subscribers is how we roll. Appreciate it. Thanks to Shelly and Julie and Phil on the backside dealing with all of our shenanigans. So yeah, if you're on Twitch, I'll be on the Tom and Dan show in about an hour. First 7-day cone. No, I think it'll still be a 5-day cone, Adam. I think the 7 days only the this is the only thing they changed this year was this map. This is the 7-day map. So they didn't change the forecast cone will still be 3-day, 5-day. Anyway, yep. Cat 5's get a text, so we'll do a text here in a little bit, letting everybody know we got a new tropical depression. Looks like they're going to officially go with it. Tropical Depression 3, there it is, 11 a.m. Initiate advisories on Tropical Depression 3. Right here, we'll get a cone. Cone of uncertainty. Jessica, lack of loop compared to 2015. I'm not sure. The only thing I've been noticing with the loop currents lately is that they've been going longer and deeper. We watched Ida a few years ago. It was a little bit more east, but it was more, like you said, more of a loop current. I don't know how far back I can go. 2015. So there's 15. It looked a little different in 15. But it's always changing. Here's 20. 21. Let's look at 21. There's 21. 13. So that maybe, there's 13. A little more loop eddies. So I don't know. I don't know the history. I haven't followed the history. All I know is the loop currents seem like they're going deeper. Here's 2022 for June. But let's go to peak months. Let's go to September. So here's 2022 September. See how different it was? They definitely move around a lot. Here's September 2015. So there you go. You had more of a loop eddy. Yeah, I don't really know enough about history. I think they're just constantly changing. I know the waters are hotter. So here's where we are now. It's 2023. So we'll see what it does. Oh, okay. The water's cooler. Well, a couple weeks ago it was hotter than normal. We've had these persistent winds rolling in off the northeast. I think, look at the 7-day change here. I think they're going to warm up quick. I don't think this is going to stay like this. 7-day change here on Tropical Tidbits shows you this past week. We still obviously the storms and the up north, but overall the 7-day change here shows it's warming up quick. So I think that was more of a temporary cool down due to the northeast strong winds that we've seen with the jet stream patterns that we've been seeing. And a lot of this cool down in the northeast part of the Gulf is definitely based on the storms, the relentless storms we've been seeing across the upper Gulf. And rain, Adam, correct. Eric, 100%. Yep. The water temperatures change quick. What just made a noise out here? Oh, let's see here. Cool. All right. Well, I had to get into update mode now that we have a storm. So that means I got to get rolling. All right, so appreciate it. We'll maybe I'll do a YouTube video tonight. I don't know, probably not. Nope, we got to go to Tampa tonight. So, but I'll do a TikTok because those are quick and easy. So we'll do that. So we'll have some new stuff to talk about here in about 20 minutes when the NHC comes out with TD3, and then we'll keep an eye on Invest 93, which I had to add to the site too. So. A lot of work to do, a lot of updating, all right? So, hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it, as always, this season. And we'll be live tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, not Friday. And keeping an eye on things, right? Right. So, have a good one. I got to get typing. See you tomorrow.